You're listening to the weekly Parsha Podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramban, Knesses Yisrael, 5783, 2023. This week we have two Parshias. We're reading Vayakhel and Pekudei, and both of these Parshias deal with the Melechas HaMishkan, with the creation of the tabernacle, which we have spoken about over the last few weeks. And I'd like to share with you a bit of research that was sparked by a Ramban in our Parsha. Every single week, Bizrat Hashem, usually, almost every single week, I learn with my son Moshe Dov. We learn Midrashim, we learn a few days of Ramban. And this week, what I'd like to share with you is from the Ramban, and where the Ramban brought me, he sent me to a few different places, and I'd like to share some of those ideas, the foundation of which is based on this pasuk. It says in chapter 35, verse 4, Vayomer Moshe El kol adas b'nei Yisrael lemor. Zeh davar asher tziva Hashem lemor. Moshe said to all of the congregation of the children of Israel as follows: this is that which Hashem commanded. Kichu me'etchem truma l'Hashem, like we saw in previous parshias. Take for yourselves a truma, a donation to God. Kol nediv liboy, whoever has an outpouring of his heart, yiviyeh is trumas Hashem, he shall bring the truma, the donation of Hashem, zahav v'chesef v'nechoshes, gold and silver and bronze. So there's many different things that they're to bring. They're to bring gold and silver and different types of dyed wools, blue and purple and red, etc. Now, the Ramban points out, it's a very quick Ramban, but he actually refers back to another Ramban back in Parshas Truma, which we'll see together. The Ramban points out the language is interesting. It says, which means he will bring it, the truma of Hashem, the donation to Hashem. Why did it say he will bring it, the truma of Hashem? It should say he will bring the truma, the donation of Hashem. Why does it say this language? So there's a Parsha Pshat in it, but he says a deeper Pshat based on the Valderech HaEmes, which means Kabbalistically. Valderech HaEmes. I would like to read it to you. It's a short line in the Ramban. Valderech HaEmes hu kamo yiviyah im trumas Hashem. We find that the word as can mean like a throw-in word that doesn't have so much meaning, or can mean with. The word es ha'elikim is halech Noach. We find that Noach went with God. So the word here, yiviyah, es trumas, even though it could ordinarily be translated to mean just kind of he will bring the truma of Hashem. He says he will bring it with the truma of Hashem. What does it mean? He will bring it with the truma of Hashem. Sheyavi hatruma ha'elyoina. Beside v'yikhu li truma. There is a deep spiritual idea here. That spiritual idea is that there's something that's brought together with my bringing. There's an offering that I offer, and when I make that offer, when I bring that donation to the Mishkan, Hashem, there's a trumas Hashem. There's an exalted spiritual donation that comes along with it. God Himself, as it were, comes along with it. Ukfar Peirashtiv, Ramban says, I already explained this, which we're going to read in a moment. Vatiftach v'tereu es hayeled sherasa imay Shechina. Our sages say that when the daughter of Pharaoh opened up this basket that had inside of it Moshe Rabbeinu, the baby Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, so she opened and she saw vatireu es hayeled. She saw the child. Could also be translated as she saw with the child. What did she see with the child? She saw the divine presence. She saw something with the child, and that was the divine presence. So the Ramban is telling us that in our Parsha, coming along with this gift to the Mishkan is a gift to the person who's giving the gift. And that gift is the presence of Hashem, a revelation of Hashem's presence in that person's life. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu, it could be seen, the presence of Hashem with this child, with Moshe Rabbeinu, with Moses, the baby Moshe. Okay, so that's the Ramban in our Parsha. And I'd like to look back now on the Ramban, to the Ramban, chapter 25, verse 3. There it says, it's similar psukim. This is the donation that you shall take from them. So also it says there, gold and silver and bronze, the same exact items. Okay, so it's a parallel verse. And this is what the Ramban says there. And he's going to refer to some adrashim, which we'll also see together, which are really quite amazing and powerful. Al derech ha'emes hu, says the Ramban. And by the way, before we jump deeply into the Ramban, the question that we really need to ask ourselves is, and this is a foundational question for life, how do we get God's presence in our life? And what does it mean to have God's presence in our life? How do we get Hashem's presence? I would say that it means that we have siyata d'shmaya. We have unique divine assistance in what we do. Unusual divine assistance in what we do. What does that mean? We're going to see what that means very shortly. Let's see. Because that's what we're talking about here. Having God in our lives. What does it mean to have God in our lives? What does it mean Shechina? What does it mean divine presence? Based on the deeper sources, the Ramban says, it's like what it says in the verse that God gave wisdom to King Solomon. What was this wisdom? We also find in regards to Betzalel that he had a unique wisdom, a unique understanding, a unique ability, I would say. We find in regards to Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, that he gave blessings to his children, and he said as follows. And this is the verse. And this is what their father said to them when he was giving the blessings to his 12 sons, and he blessed them. And it says, and this is the blessing. And this is the blessing. Vizos hatruma, right? It uses the same language. And this is the truma. So the word vizos and this, what is this? What is the ultimate and this? Says the Ramban, the ultimate and this is that which we see manifest as a blessing. Is that which we see Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, has wisdom. It's a manifestation of godliness, of Shechina, of divine presence in the person's life. Uchsiv, we find the verse says, we say this in Hallel, Me'es Hashem hoisa zois. From God this was from God. Me'es Hashem hoisa zois, Hi niflas b'yeinenu. It's an awesome thing in our eyes. What is this? It's from God, right? You can see clearly, when you see clearly that something awesome happens in your life, something that seems to be supernatural, it's from Hashem. That's the blessing. That's what we're talking about. When we talk about Shechina, we talk about God's divine presence, we're talking about these blessings. We are talking about Vizois, this. It's this. It's something that is unmistakable. There could be nowhere else where this came from. We have a medrash in Bereshis Rabbah which hints to this idea. It speaks about the fact, it uses the word vizois in a number of places, and this, in regards to blessings. In regards to the blessings of Yaakov Avinu, it uses the word vizois and this. In regards to the blessings of Moshe Rabbeinu, it uses the word vizois. Right? It's something that you need intuition to understand. You need to, what does bina mean? What does va'mevin yizboinen? The one who understands will understand, or will contemplate. It means you need to intuitively understand mevin davar mitoich davar, one matter from another. When you see that there are parallels, you can start to understand what's going on. When you see the same word being used in a few different locations, there's a concept that's being taught in the language that's chosen. The Ramban is teaching us. Ube'ele Shmais Rabbah, also, which is back in our Parsha, which we'll see very shortly. V'zois hatruma asher tikchu me'itam. Says the Medrash, and he quotes it, this is the truma that you shall take from them. That's the pasuk that it says the same language in our verse over here, chapter 25, verse 3, and it also said in the first verse that we quoted, which was chapter 35, verse 5, Kechum eitchem truma l'Hashem. It doesn't use the word vizos. Okay, interesting. Okay. But the Medrash quotes our pasuk. The Medrash in Parshas Vayakhel quotes the pasuk in Parshas Truma, which is a similar language. Says the Medrash, an unbelievable thing. We need to understand this deeply. We want to know. This is the question, okay, which is what we're trying to get to. How do we get Shechina in our lives? How do we get blessings in our lives? How do we get supernatural assistance? How do we get Hashem, so to speak, in our lives, so that what we do succeeds, or so that we're doing things that are aligned with godliness, and thereby experiencing Hashem in our lives and success in our lives? There's an aspect of the Jewish people called Knesses Yisrael, which means the gathering of Israel. It could mean the congregation, right? The word congregation is a nice word, because congregation, Knesses, means like a Bet HaKnesset is a congregation, a synagogue. It's a place where the Jews congregate. But on a deeper level, the word Knesses Yisrael, in the deeper sources, refers to a place in the upper spheres. It refers to the place where the souls of the people of Israel, right? We have a soul, it's in our body, it's different aspects of the soul in different parts of our body. There's an aspect of our soul which only the bottom of that aspect is in our minds, in our brain, and it reaches up. The higher aspects go all the way up to the highest realms of spirituality, to the place of the Kisei HaKavod, God's divine throne. Knesses Yisrael is the place where all of our souls actually connect with each other. Knesses Yisrael is the place where all of our souls connect with each other, and that is also the place where God, as it were, resides. God sends down His Shefa, His divine influx, to us. Knesses Yisrael, that point, the congregation of Israel, that is Truma. And we find that the congregation of Israel is referred to. These are very deep ideas. Bear with me. Try to hear me out. The congregation of Israel is referred to as a truma, as a donation to Hashem. The word truma actually means laharim, means to pick up or to separate out. Right? When I give a donation, I take from my money and I separate it out. I lift it up. I use it for a higher purpose. The Holy One of Israel, the Jewish people, the people of Israel, is Reishis Tvuasa, is the first of His crops. The Jewish people are referred to as a truma, something that is separated, something that is unique, something that is special, something that is raised up. That's an aspect. You want to know, you want to understand, how do we attract or connect to godliness, to Shechina? We through truma, through raising ourselves, through being connecting to and recognizing that we are Knesses Yisrael, the congregation of Israel, holy unto Hashem, the first of His crops, the tithe of mankind. B'sham oid, Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, Macharti lachem tayrasi. We find in another place, it's in Shmos Rabbah also, it's in the Medrash. Hashem says, I sold myself to you. Macharti lachem tayrasi u'kiviyachol mekarti ima. I gave the Torah, I sold it to you. And as it were, I was sold along with it. Shnamar v'yikhu li truma. As the verse says, you will take me as a truma. When you give, says the Medrash, when you receive the Torah, when you take the Torah, you're taking Hashem, as it were, with you, with the Torah. Along with the Torah comes Hashem Himself, godliness, as it were. When you take a truma, when you give a tithe, What does it mean I'm giving a tithe? What does it mean I'm giving a donation to the temple? It means that I am showing that this is what's important. I'm raising myself up. I'm taking a significant portion of my money, of my wherewithal, money is really time. Money is about something that I spent my time and that had value for somebody else. They paid me. I'm taking that money and I'm showing that what is my time worth? What is valuable to me? The Mishkan Hashem, the tabernacle. What is the result? By giving that chashivus, giving that in significance, showing that this is what's important to me. By doing that, I receive Hashem. Hashem is, so to speak, drawn down into my life. Kiderech. Ki hatruma tiyeh li v'ani imo. The truma will be for me, and I will come with it, Hashem says. When you give a donation to the tabernacle, I come along, you have drawn me to you. Kiderech doidi li v'ani loy. Like the verse says in Shirashim, the Song of Songs, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. Through the truma, through the donation, I draw Hashem into my life. Right? Hashem also tells Moshe, you need to construct the tabernacle just exactly the way I show you. Ki ani hu amare. The word ani, which means I am the one showing you. Amar hera oischa remez lamilas ani. Right? It's that which is shown to you. Right? He had an experience, Moshe Rabbeinu had an experience of Hashem. And through the Mishkan, through the kalim, through the gold, the silver, the nechashis, the fashioning of these vessels which are meant to serve God, there's a manifestation of Hashem in this world. Through doing Hashem's will, through seeking out His will, through pining, desiring service of Hashem. That's how we draw Hashem into our lives. Remez lamilas ani, chen asher tamare. Okay. So the idea here is, the foundation here is that what do we have? What do we have when we serve Hashem? What do we have? What do we have when we give something to the Mishkan, to the tabernacle? What do we have? What are the blessings? What are the blessings that Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, is giving to his kids? What are the blessings that Moshe Rabbeinu is giving to the Jewish people? The blessings are a manifestation of Hashem. They are a manifestation of God's will in the world. I want to read you the Medrash in our Parsha in Vayakhel, Vayasu kol chacham le. The verse says that all of those who were wise of heart, they did all the malacha, they did all of that which needed to be done, all of the service of Hashem. Ma malacha hayosin, and this was quoted in the Ramban, but I'd like to read it to you inside. What was the work that they did? El re'ei maksiv zeis hatruma asher tikchu meitam zo Knesses Yisrael shehi truma. What was the work that they were doing? What were they trying to accomplish? Is it malacha? It's so hard to weave. Something that requires wisdom. It's something that requires a certain talent. But is it hard? Is it a malacha? Malacha sounds like something hard. The answer is that they were doing something that required, there was something that was difficult. What they were doing is, they were raising up the Jewish people through their actions, through their dedication, through their commitment to serving Hashem in this way, in the way that's prescribed in the Melechas HaMishkan, in the creation of the tabernacle. They were raising up the Jewish people. Knesses Yisrael Hashem reishes to us. They, the Jewish people, are now the choice of mankind, the choicest human beings of mankind. Zahav Chesef, gold and silver that we refer to. So Knesses Yisrael. What is the gold and the silver of the world? It's the people of Israel. It's the congregation of Israel. Brings a pasuk Shneimar Kanfe Yoyin Nechba B'Kesef V'Gomer, referring to the Jewish people. Silver and gold. Amazing references. Nechoshes, the Eretz Yisrael Shneimar Meharer Tachsev Nechoshes. refers to the fact that they brought silver, gold, bronze. It's a reference to Eretz Yisrael. The land of Israel is the choice land of the entire world. This is the place where we properly serve Hashem. Techeles, verse refers to the fact that they brought the blue strings that were dyed with the blood of the Chilazon. Ze Knesses Yisrael. Once again, it's a reference to the congregation of Israel. The tcheles represent, the blue string on the tzitzis represent the uniqueness, the specialness of the Jewish people. The fact that we are one string, a choice string. Right? Tcheles was something that was worn by the royalty. By royalty. We are the royalty of the world. The argamon, these different types of wool, the different colors that are referenced to the Jewish people as well. The Vayakhel Zav ze Avram shenivcha mekivshon eish kazav. He says Yitzchak shenivcha kekesa al gavi mezbech nechoshes Yaakov. Another explanation is that it refers to each of the avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But the idea here is, and the depth of the idea here is, we want to know how to receive blessings. We want to know how to have siyata d'shmaya. We want to know how to have divine assistance in our lives, in all that we do. We want to accomplish in the world. We want our accomplishments to be significant and lasting. How do we get this? How do we acquire this? How do we align with this? How do we get divine assistance in our life? And the Medrash is telling us, and the Psukim are telling us, and the Ramban is telling us, that how do you get blessings? How do you get the divine presence? It's called a Mishkan, which means a tabernacle, but the word Mishkan, the root of it is Shechina, which means God's divine presence. The tabernacle is a place where God resides. And when the Jewish people were in that place, in that space, they had Ruach HaKodesh. They had unbelievable awareness and ability that was beyond the norm. One of the Midrashim, which I'm not going to read right now, says that whoever was involved in the Mishkan, even if they didn't have talent, they were able to do things that they couldn't naturally do. Which means that I can access something that's much higher than me, the source of all talent, the source of all wisdom, the source of all beauty. How do I access it? I have to connect into the root of my soul. I have to connect into the place where the divine presence rests, the Kisei HaKavod, the throne of God's glory. And where is that place? It's called the Knesses Yisrael. It's called the congregation of Israel. It's the root of all of our souls, where they connect and combine. And how do I connect into that? That's what the Medrash is telling us. It's by receiving the blessings, vizois, by receiving the blessings of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It's by receiving the blessings of Moshe Rabbeinu. But what are those blessings? Those blessings are really just an indication or clarification of what is my purpose in life. My purpose in life is to serve Hashem. How do I serve Hashem? By bringing Him an offering. By taking that which is mine and saying, hey, this isn't mine, this is for you, Hashem. It's by bringing my talents, bringing my wherewithal, that which I've earned, and saying, here, Hashem, I offer it to you. What is my life about? Why do I have all of these possessions? Why do I have so much time, right? Think about it. We have much more time than people 100 years ago. People didn't live as long as we do. I don't know what the average ages were, but today, people live 70s, 80s, 90s. It wasn't that way 100 years ago. We have so much time. What do we do with our time? We need to offer it. If we want siyata d'shmaya, if we want to have the divine assistance that comes with Shechina, with divine presence, how do we get that? The answer is, Vayakhel-Pekudei, you will take me with your truma. When you offer Hashem that which you have, when you offer Hashem your time, your money, your ability, your talent, you're taking Him. You're bringing Him into the world. You're bringing Him into your life. You are accessing Shechina. You are accessing the divine presence, and you will merit to have divine assistance. So I want to bless you and ask you to bless me. Hashem should help us, that we should indeed be able to be those who are Vayakhel es Trumas Hashem. When we bring when we offer to Hashem, when we offer our lives and our time and our wherewithal to God, Hashem should help us to see, indeed, that He is offering something to us that we will receive as a result of what seems like us giving. It's really about us receiving. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.